Good morning. I'd like to call the Highway and Building Committee meeting to order for Thursday, April 15, 2021. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carrico?
Present.
Mr. Kinzinger? Present. Mr. Hess? Present. Mr. Tholen? Ms. Weber? Present. Mr. Featherling? Present. Mr. Long? Present. Mr. Dennell?
Present.
Mr. Hunter? Present. Ms. Bryan? Present. Mr. Collins?
Present.
Ms. Hudson?
Present.
Mr. Kenneth Smith?
Present.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Searay? We have a quorum.
Thank you. I don't have any public comments here for today. No public comments. So for that, next on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the minutes from March 11th, 2021.
Hudson.
Okay, next, let's go with Mrs. Bryan and Mrs. Hudson. That's a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carrico?
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger? Aye. Mr. Hess? Aye. Ms. Weber? Aye. Mr. Featherling?
Aye.
Mr. Long? Aye. Mr. Dennell?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Aye. Ms. Bryan? Aye. Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Kenneth Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next will be the highway with Mr. Roger. I don't believe we'll have any bidding for today.
No, we do not.
Go ahead to the county engineer pay estimates, please.
Very good. Okay, good morning. We have a few pay estimates this morning. The first one I have is for our 2021 general maintenance for the county, payable to Compass Minerals. This is for salt that was delivered to our shed, and that amount is $43,483.31. Next is for our 2021 General Maintenance Supplement 1. This is payable to Decker Supply Company. This is for sign materials, posts, and sign fasteners. And that amount is $6,643.75. Next is for our county general maintenance for 2021. This is a pay estimate to Vulcan Construction Materials. This is for road mix picked up at the quarry with our trucks, and that amount is $18,304.79. Next is Kankakee Township Road District for their 2021 general maintenance. This is payable to Champion Salt. This is for salt that was delivered to their shed, and that amount is $10,891.71. Next is Pembroke Township Road District for their 2021 general maintenance. This is equipment rental, and that amount is payable, it's payable to Township Road District Treasurer. That amount is $4,719.46. Next is also for Pembroke Township Road District for their 2021 general maintenance. This is payable to Vulcan Construction Materials for road mix picked up at the quarry with their trucks. That amount is $10,789.70. And last is Junior Road District for section 18-04-128-00-BR. This is for a bridge under construction in Junior Township on 2000 North. And that amount is $85,208.75. That is split up. If you look at the last page of the pay estimate, it is split up between 3 funds: Township Bridge Program, County Bridge Program, and Township Motor Fuel Tax.
Okay. Any questions or any comments? Any questions for Mr. Rogers? Any questions? No? So can I have a motion to approve the county engineer's pay estimate, please? Okay, Mr. Long, second by Mr. Kinzinger. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carrico?
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger?
Aye.
Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Aye. Mr. Featherling?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter?
Aye.
Ms. Bryan? Aye. Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Kenneth Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Alexander,
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next will be the resolution.
Okay, I have a couple of resolutions this morning. The first one is a resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign a local agency agreement for the county portion of the reconstruction of the intersection. Well, nope, I need to do, is that the first one? No, I'm sorry. I got them out of order. The first one is a resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign a local agency agreement for federal participation and appropriating matching tax funds for the resurfacing of County Highway 47. This is a federal aid project that is for Bonfield Road, which is 9,000 west. There should be a map attached from Route 17 into Bonfield to County Highway 6. The total cost of the project is approximated to be $630,000. The federal funds for STR, which is rural federal funds, is $504,000. We have to pay $126,000, which is based on 20%. This resolution authorizes the board chairman to sign that agreement, and that we will use $126,000 or what is required for the 20% match of matching tax for our portion.
Any comments, any questions about the resolution? I hear none. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the first resolution? Okay, so there will be, and this time, yes, federal land, yes.
Yeah, I got a question. Mr. Rogers.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for permitting me to pose this question. Mr. Rogers, in terms of letting contracts, okay, is there ever a requirement, or have you ever posed a requirement or incorporate a mandate for minority subs in terms of MBE, SBE?
This is a federal, this will be let in Springfield, so those requirements are in that
Okay.
proposal. We follow as far as everything else, we follow motor fuel tax policy and the county's policy on contracts.
I appreciate that in terms of federal stuff, but local stuff, do we have local WBE and WBE subcontractors that might be able to participate in some of these contracts?
We advertise the contracts in the contractors bulletin, so every contractor sees the projects that we're letting, especially on road work, and then they have to be pre-qualified with the state of Illinois. So we just follow whatever the state, if they're pre-qualified, they get to bid.
Let me ask you this then: do you ever recruit minority bidders, contractors?
Recruit as in?
Well, look for them, actively look for them. I understand that you promulgate information, in the newspaper or whatever, but do you actually recruit or not?
I don't think the county actually recruits that.
Okay. Let me, I'm not going to put responsibility on my shoulders, but we'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Featherland and second by Mr. Long. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carrico,
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger, Mr. Hess, Ms. Weber, Mr. Featherling, Mr. Long, Mr. Dennell,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter, Ms. Bryan, Mr. Collins,
Aye.
Ms. Hudson,
Aye.
Mr. Kenneth Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Alexander,
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next resolution.
All right. Now back to the one I started earlier. This is a resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign a local agency agreement for the county portion of the reconstruction of the intersection of Armour Road and Illinois Route 50 and appropriating matching tax funds for the project. At the board meeting on Tuesday, you approved the signing of a letter of intent that basically gives IDOT the indication that we are going to take a jurisdictional transfer of the unmarked state route Armour Road east of Route 50. I read the newspaper article, and it made it sound like we were taking over the intersection of Route 50. We are only taking from the east edge of Route 50 easterly through Lock Drive, and that is just maintenance and jurisdiction. So that would be for us to maintain the roadway, plow it, stripe it, sign it. We're responsible for all of that. So this agreement basically is an agreement that IDOT requires for all projects that they participate in. Now, IDOT's normal procedure with things like this, when they want to do an improvement and it's on an unmarked state route highway, they look for a local agency to take it over after the improvements are done, which is what this agreement is saying, that we're going to take it over, we're going to maintain it, take care of it, and they specify things in here. We are responsible for, they're going to pay for the main line of Route 50, they're going to pay for the main line of Armour Road, but we have to pay 20% for the sidewalk, and we have to pay 100% for the lighting, but the MPO has agreed to pay 60 or 40% of that local share. So we're only going to pay 60% of the, 40%, 20%, no, 40% of, I'm sorry, 60% of the lighting. That's our local share. I'm sorry. This is so complicated. And then also, if the fire districts want to pay for emergency vehicle preemption, to pay for it and its maintenance, that's part of this agreement. If they don't want it and they can't pay for it or can't maintain it, it won't be installed.
Could you repeat that, Mr. Chairman? Could you repeat that last sentence?
Okay.
I wasn't clear on that.
Okay, so the state does not pay for emergency preemption on traffic signals, which is the mechanism where, like, if an ambulance comes, they flip a switch and they go through.
I'm cool.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So if, like I said, if a fire department or an emergency response unit wants preemption, the state says, well, you have to pay 100% for it. So we're leaving it up to the fire protection district. If they want it, we'll include it, but they'll have to pay for it. They'll have to maintain it. And then our portion is going to be $53,500 of the $8 million price tag of the whole project. So they have to have assurance that we have appropriated our funds for the project. And so I'm proposing we appropriate $53,500 of matching tax funds.
Mr. Hess? Okay. Okay. So Brian, second. Before we call for the roll call here, I'd like to thank you for the proper explanation of what this, the whole deal is and what the county will be responsible for.
Yeah.
Since a lot of times just the information that go out there to the community is not the correct information of what we just talked about this week. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's been a community effort. The west side of Route 50 on Armour Road, going from the railroad bridge down to Route 50, is not in an incorporated area, so we had to get the township involved, and so Bourbonnais Township has agreed to take that portion over, and the Village of Bradley has been very active in this process too, because they have some responsibilities on Route 50.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carrico?
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger? Aye. Mr. Hess? Aye. Ms. Weber? Aye. Mr. Featherling? Aye. Mr. Long? Aye. Mr. Dennell?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Aye. Ms. Bryan? Aye. Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Mr. Kenneth Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Mr. Roger?
Unless anybody's got any questions.
Any questions for you, Mr. Chairman?
The appropriation is internal within highway department, correct?
Yes,
Or is
it's
it
all,
something you need finance to do as far as the appropriation goes?
no,
You're doing that yourself?
yes.
But I want to make sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. All I was asking was 12 working.
12. There we go. Got it.
I was just making sure that the appropriation is internal to the highway department and not general fund related, so we don't that wasn't part of the motion, and it's not part of the action we need to do. Just want to make sure everybody knew.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other questions? Roll
Okay.
call, please.
Thank you.
Oh, no, we already did. So thank you so much. Have a good day. Next on the agenda will be buildings. Mr. Andrews. Good morning, Wes.
Good morning.
All right, morning, everyone. Month of March, we had 157 work orders in the system. Busy month. Moving on to the financial report that you have in front of you there. You can see year-to-date for 21, we're at 328,075 versus 287,865 in the prior year. Couple discrepancies that are leading to the overage is the custodians. You can see that we have the 2 new custodians at the courthouse, which are putting us about $40,000 over where we were at this year. Building maintenance and improvement, we're about $15,000 over there. And then going down the other portions of the list and some of the larger line items, maintenance contracts, we're pretty close. Miscellaneous services, 56,400, that's our repairs by outside contractors. We continue to be below where we were at last year, and which is excellent because that's a hard number to control. And then miscellaneous supplies, 56,850. We're about $5,000 below where we were at this time last year. So, in all actuality, the 40,000 overage can be directly related to the 2 custodians. So, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions? Mr. Featherland, there we go.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes, sir.
are we getting some funds for, from the federal government or the state for some of that help with the custodian work?
I think so. I think Chairman Wheeler can probably answer that a little better than me.
You didn't hear it.
The rules aren't out yet, but we can assume that it's part of something that is COVID related. So I could assume that, but we can't, there's no guarantees until they give us the final rules from the
But
Department
wasn't
of
there money
Treasury.
appropriated earlier in the year for that type of stuff?
No, there was money, well, yes and no. You're kind of mixing 2 things. The Cures/CARES money, that reimbursed us for last year.
Okay.
Going forward, there was nothing in place until the current situation and the current bill was passed, which we haven't received and we don't have all the rules for.
Okay.
So it is appropriate from the explanation we have now that we would be able to devote that revenue towards that line item going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to the building report. We'll start here at 189, and the first thing on my list here and the most pressing issue is our elevator, excuse me. I've been in contact with Kone. Kone is the vendor that we hired. We had bidding, we selected Kone, they were the lowest qualified bidder. So I've been working with them over the last couple months, and when we had hired Kone originally, going off memory, I think we hired them in February, is about when we signed the contracts with Kone. And I've traded multiple emails and phone calls, and late last month, they finally gave me another email with an update, and I want to read to you exactly the email. And he basically says, "We do not have an official ship date as of yet, as our engineering department is still finishing up their technical review. We won't be able to provide a firm start date until that process is completed. However, I would say that with the lead times we are seeing right now, along with some random COVID-related delays, it would be safe to say that we would not begin work until sometime between late summer and early fall. Please don't hold me to that, as I'm just speculating. I will update the schedule with a firm start date as soon as it's provided from engineering." So that's where we're at right now. And I guess comments, thoughts.
email back saying that's not acceptable?
Of course.
Okay, what did they respond to that email then? That's not acceptable?
COVID-related delays. They can't get the products.
Do we have
That's
to
what they
look for
tell me.
another bid if they can't perform their duties that they bid on?
Well, then you're starting the process all over again with another vendor. That's gonna have to put it out to
Before the end of
engineering.
Summer, wouldn't it?
What's that?
Be before the end of the summer,
I
wouldn't it?
doubt it.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta bring another vendor in, they gotta bring their engineering department through, they gotta go through it, put the drawings together,
Okay.
you know, then they gotta
Didn't
order the
seem like it took us
materials.
that long to get.
When I had first hired them, they told me a couple month lead time. You know, so I think 3 to 4 months was what they told me originally, which would have put us summer, you know, somewhere there. Now they're talking late summer, early fall.
So that means January.
So, I mean, if there's any thoughts as to, obviously the initial thought is, this is awful, but past that, does anybody want to offer up any strategies, something maybe we do we get state's attorney involved to try to expedite things? Do we, you know, does Andy Wheeler write a nasty gram? I mean, what are our thoughts on this?
Nasty, right?
Mr. Kinzinger.
I know we don't like that, but just for instance, pre-engineered buildings, there used to be out 6 to 12 weeks or 29-week deliveries. So this is happening in the marketplace, and you're best to stay in contact, ask how we're moving, and keep squeaking, but I wouldn't jump on this with both feet, because I think in the end we would lose.
I agree. It's just, it's bad news.
I didn't know it took that long to get a bid on
It's
something.
bad news.
Okay, I have one thing that I'd like to ask board members. Just give me a second, please. One thing I'd like to ask for board members, whenever you have a question or you have a comment, if you can just give me a little hand sign, it would be wonderful, will help me a little bit on the switch here, because if you start talking, I just don't have enough time to turn this on for you. So if you just raise your hand, then I know where to go. Thank you so much. Mr. Hunter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what's the plan?
The plan is to stay in communication,
Okay,
try to apply as much pressure as I can with communication.
I understand what Ron said, but are you gonna send a firm communication or what?
Via email, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments? Yes. 7?
6.
6. Got it.
I agree with what Ron said, because there are disruptions in the supply chain due to COVID. So if they're waiting for parts or something, the engineering thing is a little puzzling, because they saw it, they make their drawings, but the supply chain would make sense.
Right. Well, I was talking to Anita in the back, and she'd said a family member had ordered a couch, and
yeah.
the couch, what normally would take a month, a custom couch, a month, it was like 4 months.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's just supply chain.
okay. So, awful news, I know. Nobody hates waiting for the elevator more than me, so.
Orchestra?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, although I'm not a member of the committee, I'm just a county board member in this case. But being involved in the construction industry, we have seen many, many delays because of the COVID virus and the effects of it, and lack of supplies and materials to start projects and finish projects. So it's not really unusual. As Ron has mentioned, I don't think I would jump in with both feet. It's actually not the contractor's fault. That I'm sure that they do want to get this project done for us, but unfortunately materials are not available or are sparsely available. So that could be the reason for the delay. It's not just within that industry, but I know even the automotive industry is calling that they're going to have a slowdown because of the material fact.
Thank you.
So,
Chairman Wheeler had a comment.
Trying to use my words carefully here. We now have to have a plan, which we should have a plan anyway, but now it becomes obvious and absolutely necessary. If we lose that elevator, what is our ADA plan? for people that need to go up to record a deed, to go to the planning office, to go anywhere above the first floor of this building. You're the ADA coordinator, Wes, you gotta develop one now. Sorry. And I'll work with you on it, but that's gonna have to fall to you. If that elevator goes down, what's our ADA plan in this building? So again, you're not on an island, but.
No, I appreciate that.
And we're gonna have to figure it out. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there is.
Yeah, I don't
one.
either. That's my initial thought.
I have no, well, do we have to move county services to another building?
Right.
I mean, seriously,
Right, I
it's
understand.
like that,
I understand.
you know, so I don't know what that answer
Well,
is.
and
but
past
now we
that,
gotta have it.
it's regular maintenance on the working elevator. So, you know, Kone has been out, they've inspected it, it just passed inspection a couple months ago. So I'll continue to have them come out and do regular inspection of that to make sure that worst case scenario doesn't happen. But I agree, we need to be prepared for it. You know, past, you know, lifting somebody up the stairs, I mean, you know, that's not gonna happen. So moving services, et cetera, you know, maybe something worst case scenario.
We'll have to figure something out, whether
Right.
it's, we'll talk to Dan, maybe there's a room down there, but there's we now are on notice. And so we can handle a day being down or something like that, because that's not, but if that elevator goes down like the other one is, the building's not functional above the first floor at that
Right.
point on, so, just mentioning that.
Okay, Mr. Federland, you had a,
I wanted to know if Wes was doing an extra routine maintenance and keeping up with the one that we have now, so obviously he said he was.
Yeah, we have a maintenance agreement with Kone. They come out periodically as it is, and I've made sure they're aware of the sensitivity of this situation. And yes,
If they see something that might be going bad, then.
yeah, they just inspected it, like I said, a couple months ago, and everything was fine with it.
so next will be Mrs. Bryan, then Mrs. Hess.
I was just gonna say, but Andy kind of said it. We could have a room downstairs and bring services downstairs and have, you know, people run up and down the stairs. As awkward as that would be some sort of solution.
Mr. Hess?
Thank you. That was over my comment. I can't see anybody from the county that would not make arrangements if there was a handicapped person coming in of getting down there.
Right.
I mean, we've got the early voting room over there that we could utilize if we had to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a handicapped individual going up is not gonna happen. We're gonna have to accommodate them.
Right.
So you're planning to give us like
Only
an
one
update
department.
next meeting about what's going on with?
You'll get an update every meeting until it's done.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments? Questions?
All right, moving on with some other details here at 189. We've had some broken windows, one on the east side of the building at the assessor's office, one up on the second floor in the recorder's office. Both of those have been fixed. As you can see when you come in today, we're back to normal operation at the front door for entry. That is, we're still following the same exit out the west side. Hopefully you've noticed we've done some spring cleanup. We've got some weeds that need to be tended to. Believe it or not, they've been sprayed. May need to hit them again. We've got, we picked up trash. We've cleaned windows out front. Air handlers have all gone through their spring cleanings. Overhead door, we're in need of, we're going to replace the overhead door in the maintenance garage. It's a 1/4 horsepower door opener, which is undersized for that large of a door. We're going to go with a 3/4 horse. And when the recorder was moving election supplies in and out, they had opened it and it wouldn't close. It's got to a point where it needs to be done, or it's just not going to be operational. So that's about a $2,000 price tag for the large horsepower motor installed. Moving on, the courthouse. I talked at last month's meeting about some electrical issues that we had there. I received 2 quotes to install another circuit and add neutral wiring to this area, the first floor east side of the courthouse. Vendor 1 quoted $5,000, vendor 2 quoted $2,225. So obviously both qualified union operations. We're going to go with the low bid on that. And I'm trying to get them out as soon as I can to get that work completed. Cleaning's ongoing. I haven't received any complaints at the courthouse. Obviously, we have additional staff there. We shouldn't have any complaining because we've got more people there moving rags and pushing brooms and cleaning bathrooms than we've ever had. So the courthouse continues to be in good shape. The grounds look great. We mowed for the first time Tuesday, I believe. Had quite a bit of grass clippings. We went back over it with the lawn sweeper, picked everything up, and the courthouse really looks good. Annex and old jail. So we had a little bit of a mix-up. I had another vendor go out and quote the power wash of the old jail, and I swear I said old jail, but I received a power washing quote for the new jail. So it was considerably more than what I expected. So I called them. They were very disappointed. It was a very nice picture, line item. Somebody spent a lot of time on that, so I felt bad. So they're gonna go back and do it again. So by next month's meeting, or maybe I'll communicate with Andy and we can get the word out to all of you as to what the prices look like. I'll have an update for you next month on that. Air conditioning for the old jail, the nurses station, and CCTV. CCTV is what I call master control for the old jail. We've been having issues with that for as long as I can remember, and that even goes back to when Brian was here. I had a vendor out. Every copper joint from the exterior unit to the interior unit is bad and leaking. So we either have to go through it and repair all the leaks, and then the air handler inside is in poor working condition as well. And they said I think 1972 was the manufacture date on the interior unit, and then the exterior compressor is original to the building. So you're talking 50s, I think, when that was built. Is it 50s? Does that sound right? 70s? 73. So 73. So I guess they're probably both original, because we had a manufacture date of the 70s on the other one. So I'm getting some numbers on that. It's in bad shape. It doesn't work well. It gets very hot in there. So once I get the quote on that, we'll communicate and figure out what we want to do. But haven't done anything yet. Just making you aware. At JCDC, we've had a lot going on. I left for vacation a couple weeks ago, and as it always does, a million things happen. We had a drain issue in the men's locker room. Urinal overflowed. The drain was not working correctly and caused water damage. Not severe, but nonetheless, it had to be dealt with. I got 2 bids on the drain repair. Vendor 1 was $3,995. Vendor 2 was $1,340. So went with the low bid on that. That is done. It's completed. The water damage was cleaned up and remediated by ServPro. Those bills have been sent to our insurance company, so they have those. Also, while I was gone, a correctional officer, I guess, dropped a cigarette near a fence, and there's a fence out there on the would be east side of the building between public safety and the jail, and that fence caught fire. So that was a nice ivory vinyl fence. So it's about 12 to 15 feet worth of fence. It's not large, but nonetheless, while I was gone, that caught fire as well. And when I got the call, they told me the generator was on fire. So I was in Florida and called Andy and some other people and said, our generator's on fire right now. And it turned out to just be the fence. So that was the best of a bad situation. But anyway, I had a contractor come out, local fencing contractor, and he's going to give me a number on replacing that 12 to 15 feet worth of fence. We had our fire alarm inspection at JCDC a couple weeks ago. As they always do, when they do the inspection, they find repairs. We have about $1,470 worth of repairs for the size of that system. That's insignificant. Pull station, duct detectors, etc., that need to be replaced. Effie Moran, we had a sprinkler head break out there, which is a pretty common occurrence. When the sprinkler head broke, we went to shut off the water, and the main shutoff didn't work. So we used a secondary shutoff, got the water shut down, but uncovered an issue that needed to be fixed. That's going to run $1,350, and Effie Moran's going to complete that work on Friday. So that'll be done. We also have boiler repairs. We had an issue with the boiler. We could smell very, very light natural gas. So immediately we contacted a vendor. We had them come out. They told us there was no danger, but we did have an issue with the boiler. They have to remove and replace, or remove and reset, I believe it was 25 flames or burners on the boiler, go through it, replace some switches, etc. Long story short, that price tag is $3,895 to get that boiler up and running again. In addition to that, we have garbage disposals that all seem to be going out at the same time. I just replaced one garbage disposal a month ago in the main kitchen at JCDC. Commercial garbage disposal is not like something you go buy at Menards. It's they're about $2,500 a piece for a large commercial disposal. So we've replaced one, and we're going to have to replace another one. Literally just got word on that yesterday. So that's all I got.
Well, before it goes to you, I guess we're gonna have to look into your vacation time, because every time you come back, there's a lot of repairs going on. So
tell me about it.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Are we expanding the vendors that we're using? For
Absolutely.
These repairs? Thank you.
Mr. Hess.
Thank you, Chairman. Wes, if you looked at the west side of the building, at the tree that's growing out there, do we need to do anything with that?
At JCDC?
No, right outside of 189 here, by the entry, the west entry.
I guess I've never noticed it. What's going on with it?
It's going to be growing into the building pretty quick.
Oh yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, we'll have to trim it, cut it down, do something with it.
And the roots are, you know, this building's pretty old.
that whole area over there, I'd like to do something with. I mean, we don't have enough rock. I mean, there's landscaping that probably needs to be done, you know, trim the tree, remove the tree. You know, if there's something that we want to allocate some funds to, you know, that whole side of the building could probably use. And I think talking about that elevation, I do know there's cracks on that elevation of the building. You know, if we wanted to do something with the cracks and paint in addition to the tree, I mean, yeah, I can take a look at that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question for Mr. Andrews? Okay.
Does the fence fire at the jail compromise safety in any way?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? No? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good day. All right. Any old business to come before this committee? Mr. Chairman?
Real quick, the space needs analysis will be back between now and the next committee meeting. So I was going to, if you guys are okay with it, have them come to the full board and present it to the full board, not just to this committee, so everybody can hear what that analysis is. I thought that might be a good, yeah, don't do it twice. Don't make them come down here twice. Have them just come in person for the next full board meeting.
I agree.
Okay.
Any comments on that? Anybody? No? All right. Any new business to come before this committee? Any new business? I hear none. Any other business to come before this committee? Any other business to come before this committee? Did I hear?
I don't know if Aaron Dunn wait.
I saw him. Okay, I'm not sure. So, okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn by Mr. Hess, second by Mr. Long. Everybody in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much.